Hey everybody, Mr. Flanders here. Welcome to another fantastic unit of science and social studies. Today for science we are still talking about light sources, and we are still talking about how insects can be light sources. If you remember in our lesson yesterday, we were talking about fireflies and how they can be light sources. Well, we are still kind of looking at those little guys right here, okay, the fireflies. And if you notice right here, this is the spot that would be the light source. Some of us might say it's his butt, but just in general, it's part of his body, and it gives off a light source. It's not a huge amount of light source. Think of it very much, like I said yesterday, maybe like a Christmas light, just a single bulb, all right? But before we get too much further into this, let's go ahead and start by writing our name and the date at the top of our paper. My name is Mr. Flanders. And the date is 1/28/21. Okay. Take a second. Let's get that written down. All right, my friends. Excuse me. So, light sources. Light sources are things that give off light. Objects are things that reflect light. If we look directly at a light source, usually we're going to hurt our eyes. Not if we're looking at a firefly, not if we're looking at a fire, but if we look at more so a huge light source, like the sun, or like a flashlight, or directly at a lamp bulb, or something like that, we're going to hurt our eyes a little bit because our eyes and our brains were not made to process that light that quickly and that much. All right? Luckily, though, today we're focusing on a small light source, and as I said, that would be the firefly. Let's go ahead and read this passage and answer these questions about the firefly. Malia is outside with her family. It gets dark. They see fireflies in the dark. They look like tiny lights. They don't give off enough light to light up the whole porch, though. Her dad turns on the porch light. Okay. So fireflies, although they do give off light, they don't give off a lot of light. So that's why, if you see a firefly, you're not really going to see them lighting up a whole room or lighting up part of a forest. It's a very, very small amount of light. Think like when you go into the movie theater, and maybe they have like a little light bulb attached to the seat, and when the lights go out in the movie theater, you can still see that little bulb. That's probably what it would be like. Maybe even a little bit dimmer, which means not as much light. All right? With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at question 1 and question 2. Okay, question 1. What else would create enough light for Malia's family to see outside? Okay, so now we've got to think about what sort of light source would be better for outside. Okay, what else would create enough light for them to all hang out? A, fireflies. B, a campfire. C, a mirror. Or D, a candle. So what else would create enough light for Malia's family to see outside? Fireflies, a campfire, a mirror, or a candle. Now let's think about the size of these things for a second. Okay? If we're saying that fireflies are tiny, all right, that means the small light source is not going to cut it. We need a big light source. I could tell you right now, one of these objects or one of these choices is an object, so it's not a light source. Wouldn't really help us too much. I would really lean towards one of these options that would be big. So think about out of fireflies, a campfire, a mirror, and a candle, which one of these would be the biggest item? All right, which one of these would be the biggest source of light? I want you to think about that and circle the correct answer. Okay? Take a couple more seconds. And then number 2. Number 2 is going to be a writing answer. So after I read you the question, I'm going to want you to pause the video and write down what you think your answer would be. Okay? Take your time on it. There's no rush. Number 2. How can Malia test to see which light sources are best for seeing outside at night? Think about that, my friends. How can Malia test to see which light sources are best for seeing outside at night? What could she do, guys? There's a couple different things, I think. I would recommend really thinking about what's outside already and what she could take outside with her. Okay? Think about that. How can Malia test to see which light sources are best for seeing outside at night? Do not forget to write your sentence with a capital letter to start off your sentence, and don't forget to end your sentence with a period. Okay? All right. While you are working on that, as I said, pause the video so you can write your sentence down and then pick back up the lesson in just a second. While you're working on that, I am going to switch to our social studies lesson for the day. All right, my friends. Let's go ahead and jump back into this. We are now looking at our social studies lesson. We're still talking history. We're still talking about things that happened in the past. Okay? Just for reference, we are looking at week 17, day 4. So let's go ahead and make sure we flip to this page. And while you're doing that, I'm going to write my name and the date at the top of the paper. Mr. Flanders. I'm writing all caps right now. I don't know why. Boom. That is terrible. I have no idea why I did that. But whatever. I'm cool with it. Today's date is January 28th, 2021. Excuse me. So what we're going to do in just a second, my friends, is I'm going to read you this passage about Ruby Bridges. You're going to have one question, just like we had for science, and then you can have one answer you need to write down. Okay? Pretty easy stuff, my friends. So let's go ahead and look at our story about Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges is an African American. When she was young, the laws were not fair. She could not go to the same schools as white children. She helped change the laws. Today, all children can go to school together. They can be classmates. That is a really good story. So yeah, my friends, kind of talking about some of the stuff we talked about with Martin Luther King and whatnot. The rules weren't always fair, especially for my friends who are African American. It's really a shame how history has kind of shown us and kind of reminded us how just unfairly they were treated. But at the same time, history is incredibly important because it shows us how we can learn from our mistakes. Okay? But yeah, Ruby Bridges, she's an African American. She was young, and the laws were not fair. The rules were not fair. She couldn't go to the same schools as white kids. But she helped change the laws. Today, all children can go together. They can all be classmates. And that's a really cool thing that Ruby did. So, with all of that out of the way, let's take a look at question 1. Okay? Question 1 says, what did Bridges do? So we need to think to the story and figure out what she did. So A, she stayed home. B, she thought the laws were fair. Or C, she helped change the laws. So what did Bridges do? She stayed at home, she thought the laws were fair, or she helped change the laws. What is our answer? Please circle the best choice. Take just a couple more seconds, my friend, to get those answers done and out of the way. All right. Let's look at question number 2. Question number 2 says, share a rule from your family that is fair. Share a rule from your family that is fair. So what I want you to do, in just a minute, we're going to end the video, and I want you to write down one rule that you have from your family that you think is fair. Whether it's brushing your teeth before bed or eating dessert after dinner, I want to know about it. So please write your answer here on these 2 lines. Make sure you capitalize the first letter of your sentence and put a period at the end. So share that one rule with me, and I look forward to reading those answers. All right? But right now, though, my friends, I'm going to get running. Tons of things to do, tons of things to get ready to teach everybody. So I will catch up with you all later. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, though, you can find me on Dojo, and I would be glad to help. Until I see you guys next, though, stay safe out there. I can't wait to have you all back in class. Bye, everybody.